Sal?
All expenses paid.
Patrick waiting in line for Bob Feller.
Bob Feller. We're at the Knights of Columbus place in Hartford. This is Bob Feller.
You know, Fenway, Shea, you have to.
Bob Feller.
Oh, hell no, I didn't know the first pitch.
Today is the first.
Yeah, the first try, I couldn't tell.
I did not.
Morning before ball game. I didn't pitch that damn first.
The line is progressing along here. Dinner will be shortly after 6 o'clock. Can I get your attention? Need a mallet. That's what I need.
You know what? No, I'm not going to. I've had enough of it. I've been doing it for 40 years. I like it here. Yeah, my wife's from this thing. Ann comes here all the time and decorates her parents' grave. She was going to come meet on this trip. And she was going to drive down to Ansonia to decorate her parents' grave. But she decided not to come. She got I got a cold and I got to go next week and pick up paddle wheel or in the water and go up the river to Vicksburg and back to New Orleans. And I go from there to spring training. I'll be a week late to spring training. I don't care. I don't need to watch them do push-ups. I'm just the first two exhibition meetings. I work for the Indians. Yeah, we got Somebody read this book, Anthony? Get this book at home? Yeah, good. Okay, Mary, I'll take care. What's that? You want a Hall of Fame here? You mean I wrote the book and you still want all that stuff? Hard enough writing a darn book. There you go, son. So he was in the Navy with me. Huh?
Yeah.
Here, get in there. Let me get this picture. Live. How old was your name? Good name, Patrick.
3. We request you to hold the line on that, just so we can get everybody through and everybody has an opportunity to take something home from Mr. Fowler's.
Bob Feller.
38.
Dad, how do you like it?
Good job, Patrick. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Just a few minutes, please. I just want to welcome everyone here tonight, and I just want to see who's here for the first or second time. Wow. I'd like to take the opportunity and I had an opportunity to just talk to him briefly about what we were all about. And he seemed very interested at the time, but as you can imagine, Bob Feller is a very, very busy man. So I figured if I called his house several times, I might be able to get through. And I did. I got better than that. I got through to his wife, who was a very, very sweet lady. And I spoke to her about the club and everything, what we're made about and what we're all about. And I found out that she's from Connecticut, so I said, well, maybe I got it in here. So she told me how to get a hold of Bob. He was down in Winter Haven about a month ago. So I called down to Bob and I told him what we were all about. And at first, we really couldn't come to an agreement based on a couple of issues. So I was kind of disappointed, and I told him that. I said, you know, Bob, I said, we really would love to have you up here. And I said, it's not really like a card show atmosphere. We love the game of baseball. We want to hear you speak.
Thank you, George, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and it's a real pleasure to see so many ladies here this evening, especially all the young wahoos out here with all those logos on their hats, and one over here. And we'll be down in spring training in Winter Haven, where the Red Sox trained for many, many years. I was there for Finity Camp when George talked to me down there. We had 2 Finity camps this year with all these wealthy guys coming down there to make fools of themselves and to prove that baseball is not as easy as it looks. Baseball is part of this country. It's part of our culture. It's probably everybody in the world probably has either thrown a ball or swung a bat. And remember many years ago, when 20s and before that, even every baseball, boxing, and horse racing, the only thing is in country. Now we got everything, you name it. They got boys and girls, everything, any professional sports teams all over the country. And of course now sports has turned out to be quite bottom line money. Major League Baseball, colleges, and shall we mention the IOC? What a bunch of fuddy-duddy liars they are. Well, they're worried about what kind of champagne and caviar and how big their limousine is and how big a suite they have. Well, the poor athletes are busting their butts trying to make the teams. They're cashing in on all the money they can get, but I could go into that pretty deep because I know a lot about it. And a few of them have nothing but a ripoff. My wife is from Connecticut. She was born and reared over in Ansonia, where Valenti's Restaurant was a place they used to always go to get a soda pop or the rice pudding. I've been there every year. Ann was going to come with me, but I've been traveling so much, and I was in Florida at Ted Williams Museum, and I jumped in a jet to Orlando, where I have a son who built my museum in Iowa, where I was the day before yesterday, which John Kasich, who was running for president. He's a friend of mine. He's been in Congress 20 years. He's a young, clean young man, and he's a good leader, and I hope he has some success. I have no idea what it's going to wind up as, but I had a good time with him, and I wanted to see the museum in Iowa again and be there for a day. But Ann didn't want to come too much running around. I'm taking her on a boat trip on the American Queen out of New Orleans a week before first week of spring training. I'm going to miss 2 games, and I'm going to go over to Winter Haven, and she's going to come back home and come down to Winter Haven again to get my laundry done after I've been there a week. She attended the UConn. Of course, I follow the UConn girls and boys basketball, and she spent a lot of time there. Her dad died when she was very young. She was 16, and she moved to California with her mother and 3 sisters, but she still she loves Connecticut. And then she doesn't know anything about baseball, but she does know a hell of a lot more than she did before she married me. I'll tell her that. And we were up there watching UConn play Colgate one time, and they used to have all the mascot was Jonathan, and this kid comes out at halftime with a plastic head on, running around as a mascot, and she got upset because she was used to seeing a husky dog out there. She sat down and wrote a check out and sent it to the athletic department and went and bought a real dog. She loves this state. I went to school here at Hartford Travelers to fly into Brainerd Field, and in 1937 I met a fellow named Bill Savitt at an amateur baseball team. Gave me a watch. And, you know, if you ever meet anybody that's either from Hartford, Connecticut, and if you don't know what POMG means, you know they're a liar. So I was here going to school in Travelers in 55 and 6, and I had an insurance agency with a couple other fellows in Cleveland. I worked in that business for a long time, for actually 17 years, and I enjoyed every bit of it. But getting down to, Ted Williams, I saw Ted. I was over at the house and visited with he, and Tom Lasorda was there as the MC. And the only trouble down there when
Buzz, who runs the museum for Ted. It's a beautiful museum. I'm sure a lot of you have been there in Cinches Hills, which is nothing but a pile of sand and a few golf courses. They're doing real well. They're selling houses around Ted's place, you know, like hotcakes. He's got a nice house there. I was there, and he and John Henry and a few of his friends. But Tom was the MC, and when Buzz, who runs the museum, introduced Lasorda, he said he was a hell of a lot better speaker than he was a pitcher. Which is true. But he was a very, very good manager, won a couple of World Series, and he's going to be in my museum in Iowa too, because we promote the museum. I got a ball in that museum, which I got from Babe Ruth in 1928, and I knew Babe well, and his daughter Julie has a wonderful book on the market. It came out when we were in Cooperstown for the inductions last year. She wanted to give one to Ann, my wife, who was a very good friend of Julie's, but she wouldn't take it. She gave her $35 and she autographed it. But it's a good book. If you don't want to buy it, go to the library and get one and borrow it. It's a very fine book. And mostly all pictures of photographs of Babe and Julie and with Claire, his wife, and his second wife, and so forth, who I knew real well, his widow. So much happened in baseball. I've been in this business now since 1935. I signed my first contract. As a matter of fact, I played in the first national amateur tournament ever held in the United States of America. We won the Iowa State tournament in 1935, got beaten 1-0 by a team from Houston. And I was the only non-adult there. It's what they call the American Amateur Baseball Congress. In those days, it was just the American Baseball Congress. But they got it mixed up with the American Bowling Congress, ABC, so they changed it to American Amateur Baseball Congress, headquarters in Battle Creek, Michigan, and I got beat 1-0 in the final. Next year I was pitching for the Cleveland Indians. And so I got a good start. I played a lot of high school baseball. I played all over the state of Iowa and enjoyed it, signed the contract. I got $1, a check for $1, which is in my museum, the canceled check the ball club gave me, and an autographed ball with the Cleveland Indians. Wasn't even a new one. Ted is doing pretty well. He doesn't see too well. He had trouble signing a ball in the bat, which he won't do anymore, but he signs the flat stuff. And of course, he's been working on his shoeless Joe Jackson's, getting him in the Hall of Fame. I've been helping him best I can, and whether he's going to make it or not, I don't know. I would doubt one commissioner is going to ever overturn another commissioner's decision. And I don't know if Bud Selig is going to do it or the executive committee, but I was in the Greenville, South Carolina one time. I was about 18 years old. I met Shoeless Joe on the second floor of a textile mill. He's playing down there and he's in his 50s. And this was in the fall of the year after the baseball season was over. And he's playing in a league which everybody referred to as the Linhead League. It was all the textile towns had and companies had baseball teams all over that part of the country. As far as Ted goes, he was no doubt the greatest hitter I ever pitched to, followed very closely by Rogers Hornsby. And Ted had a great eye. He could throw a ball 2 inches, or even less than that, an inch away from the plate. Missed the plate by an inch, he wouldn't even wiggle a muscle. And he was a very dead low ball hitter when he first came to Boston in 1939. But I was kidding him, and he said, he was talking to some guy and said, how do you learn to hit the high fastball? You just take it. But Ted did become he did hit the high fastball later on, but he didn't hit it when he first came up quite so well. And he had power, and of course I was in many all-star games with Ted. One in Detroit in 1941, which I started, and he hit the home run with 2 men out, 2-1 and 2 out in the ninth, and one in the 75 over the National League. And then of course the big grouper pitch over here in 1946, when he hit the one off of Rip Sewell, and hit a line drive. The first one, we had a game 1. In fact, I started the ball game and followed by Hal Newhouser of Detroit, who died the other day, and a great left-hand pitcher. And then Jack Kramer of the Browns came along. I think they got 3 hits. I don't even think they actually got anybody to second base. They might have got 1 man to second, but not more than 1. And so Rip Sewell was on the mound in the latter part of the game, and he threw that big blooper pitch as high as he could, and Ted stood there and took it, and the umpire said, "Strike 1." And all the fans in Fenway yelled, "Throw him another one, Rip!" And the game was over. You know, what the hell. Rip went along with the act. He wound up and he threw that big thing up there and it came down. And Ted took 2 little steps forward and watched it, and he swung as hard as he could and hit a frozen rope line drive about 450 feet dead center field, almost went out of the ballpark. And Ted ran around the bases and jumping and clapping and screaming and laughing and having a great time. And it was a real good show. But Rogers Hornsby was a great hitter too. I pitched against him when he was managing the St. Louis Browns. I pitched against him. He's coaching third base. That was when managers used to coach third. Now they don't even coach at all. They have bench coaches sitting around them in the dugout. And it's almost getting to be a ceremonial thing like the ones over in Japan. I coached in Japan for the Tokyo Club in 1977. What they do over there, they got so many coaches. They got a couple of pitching coaches, a couple of hitting coaches, a running coach, the outfield coach, the defense coach. Now, when the pitcher tries to, pitching coach can't tell the guy how to pick a man off. That's for the defense coach, an infielder, who has no idea how the hell to pick a man off. But their things are different over there. It's a ceremonial thing. Before they have a pretty little girl all dressed up and formal, and the boy all dressed up formal. They take out, when the managers meet at home plate, they come out with flowers. So they present them with these flowers at home plate before the game. Then the bat boy takes them and throws them in the garbage can. And that's getting to be almost ceremonial nowadays. I was there the day that coaching that team, the opening day in Caracas Stadium in Tokyo in '77. In fact, my wife went along over there too. She spent most of her time shopping on the Ginza. So she saw a Pizza Hut, said all the pizza you can eat for $1. She went in there and he almost went broke. We had a great time with her. Sadahara O, or we want to call him Osen. Osen is now managing over there. And he had a home run that day. Beat Babe Ruth. He had 7-15 opening day in 1977, which was more than Ruth did. Of course, there's never going to be another Babe Ruth. He's the greatest player, in my opinion, in history. Great outfielder. Never threw the wrong base. Had a great arm. I saw him pitch in Des Moines in 1928 when I got the autographed ball from him, which is in my museum now in Iowa. The bat he's leaning on in Yankee Stadium had Babe Ruth Day on June 13th, 1948 is my bat, which is also in my museum. The Babe Ruth model. He said it felt pretty good. The fellow handing the bat, Eddie Robinson, our first baseman, said it should, as your model. He signed it. It's in my museum in Iowa. But getting back to Hornsby, he was a great hitter. He probably was just as good a hitter as Ted, but he didn't have Ted's power. He was not a very good second baseman. Had trouble with pop flies. And I asked him to play. He was our batting coach in 1947 in Tucson, the first year the Indians trained out there. And I had a pretty good year in 1946. I pitched won the All-Star game over at Fenway, won 26 games, and broke the Major League strikeout record, pitching no-hitter against your favorite team down in Yankee Stadium, Harvard. And when I rode to Alabama for 33 months, you taken supplies to Russia at the beginning of the war. I was the chief gunner's mate on any aircraft. That would be something, Battleship Von Tirpitz in the North Sea. We caught it hiding in the fjord. We were taking the convoys from Murmansk and Archangel, supplies, everything the Russians needed for a year. And we went to the Pacific and finished up out there. I came back up to after the Battle of Iwo Jima and ran the ball club at Great Lakes with the Major League Ball Club. Paul Brown, the best football coach for the Browns, organized his team in 1946. They started playing. Paul was a friend of mine. His boys were my two sons from Mike and Pete were my bat boys. And but Paul Brown was a great friend of mine, and we played a lot of golf together and we had a lot of social events together. I see Clemens is going with the Yankees. I saw George Steinbrenner down there at Ted Williams' affair, and he was talking about it then. And I wasn't surprised he was going to buy it, but I know the Indians were not going to include that in their budget. And they may get somebody. They need a pitcher. They're going to win the American League Central is very weak. Your Little League team probably could win that one right here. And the Hartford Little League might be one of the teams here, the best team could win it probably by 10 games. The Indians are going to win it, but they're not going to get it. Postseason play, you're going to need more pitching, which they must get if they're going to be competitive. No, we were talking about Spec Shea, who's a friend of mine, and a very good friend. I got to know him, and he's going to speak here for you, and he's a good man. I remember eating up around New Haven area. I remember in 1947, I struck out 11 out of the first 12 in Philadelphia. I thought I might get 22 or 21 or 2 that night. I was going real good, and I had thrown a curveball. I was throwing a fastball by just about everybody. Until my catcher, excuse me, Jim Hegan from over in Lynn, Mass, called for a curveball, and I throw my curveball, I stepped a little bit to the left, opened up my body to get that ball to break down instead of throwing that fastball right up there like that and straight. And I always roll up a little bit of dirt, which I normally knock down. Every other hitter or two would go up there and kick it off with my left foot, get rid of it so my spikes will grab the clay when I do my stride. Well, I didn't do it after I got that sign from him. I was standing on the mound. I figured the hitter, who was Barney McCoskey, might think I was going to do something different. So I thought I rolled the dice and I lost. My foot slipped and I hurt my arm, my shoulder, and my left knee. And when I protected myself, I hurt my arm a little bit. So I called Joe Cronin, and I said, Joe, I can't make it. I said, I hurt my arm today, and I had to leave after the 6th inning. I tried to pitch 2 innings after I struck out the first. I got 2 more incidentally strikeouts, so I had 13 in 6 innings. But there was too much pain involved. So he said, well, I'm sorry to hear that. We should come anyway, just get a trophy and have a good time, see the guys, sign a few autographs, and do the social routine. I said, no, I've seen too many players do that in the past, and I want you to get somebody that can help American League win the game. Say, who do you suggest? I said, well, you're the manager, but I will make a recommendation for you if you really want one. He said, yeah, tell me. Joe and I were great friends. And his daughter now, I saw her down at Ted Williams Museum just last week. He said, who do you recommend? I said, well, there's a fellow in New York who's a rookie. The name is Spec Shea. He's got a pretty good slider, and he's doing real well. And he throws pretty hard. And he said, well, thanks, Bob. He chose Spec Shea. And who was the winning pitcher of the 1947 All-Star game in Wrigley Field? But a guy named Spec Shea. The American League wins it 4-3. And he never thanked me for letting him take my place. I could have gone and got that trophy too and done nothing. Well, we were playing in Fenway one time, and Cronin and Fox, and we had a third baseman, Sammy Hale. So we get the bases full, and Cronin's at bat. They get the bases full, and Joe Cronin's at bat. Nobody out in the middle of the ball game. And Sammy Hale was playing third. And Cronin comes up, and Hale was playing pretty deep, nobody out. And he hits a ferocious line drive right at Hale. And he goes like this, and he ducks, and the ball hits a knuckleball. It hits a knuckleball, and it comes and breaks his glove and hits him right between the eyes. The ball goes in the air, and the shortstop catches on the fly, steps on second, and fires to first. That's a triple play. Of course, they take him in the clubhouse, put him on the trainer's table, and he comes to, and he looks up, and he said, and I think one of the other players had gone in the clubhouse with him. And he looks up and he said, what happened? And the player said, we won the game and you got an assist. I don't think the game was over yet anyway. And that's something did nothing. It was pretty serious at the time, but it turned out to be rather funny. It didn't, no result particularly on Hale. So judging the pennant race in either American or National League, and of course I'm an American leaguer. That's the only team I ever played for, the Indians, in professional ball. And the Yankees have got the best ball club probably Atlanta has. Who knows? And last year I was surprised that San Diego beat Atlanta. But guessing the pennant races is like guessing the weather in West Texas. You're either a fool or a newcomer. And almost any athletic event. Sure, I mean you can got the odds and all that with the players, and until they get revenue sharing, there's going to be some teams who will never ever compete in the small market areas, and they need revenue sharing. But the teams on the East and West Coast don't want it. Naturally, they want all the money. They're going to take a U-Haul behind their hearse, take it with them. You heard about this, you heard about the atheist? I gotta tell you this story, it had nothing to do with baseball. There was an atheist was getting ready to die, and he said, I want you to put something on my tombstone for me. He said to his, somebody who was there, and he said, what do you want to put on your tombstone? He said, gone to sea for myself. It might be an Iowa, corny joke from Iowa. But there are a lot of fine ball players today, and at least they're rich as hell, that's for sure. They got a lot of money. I know when the Indians signed Alomar the other day for a lot of money from Baltimore, our shortstop wanted to get his contract renegotiated. And he had his agent come in to help him work out. He got the same agent, the name is Katz, the same agent that Sosa has. So he came in there, and Richard Jacobs, the owner of the Cleveland Indians, reached in the pocket, and he showed this contract he signed for between $20-some million for seven years to the agent Katz, and he said, did you sign that? He says, yes. He says, show it to Omar Vizquel. Omar was sitting here. Yes, I signed it. John Hart, our general manager, was there. This is a story I get from John Hart. So they read it and they signed it. Yes, sign it. And he said, if you get hurt or got hurt or you had to go on a disabled list or something happened to you, I'd have to pay you, wouldn't I? Yes, you would. He said, well, the meeting's over and you fulfill your contract. We'll talk later. In the meantime, I'm busy. Goodbye. I'll see you in camp in spring training and you better be there. Well, he's there. He's there. And I mean, a deal's a deal. I mean, if, in my opinion, if you make a... Nowadays, a handshake should be a handshake in this country, but it's not. It used to be your handshake and your word was your bond. Not so anymore. And I don't want to get into politics, but which I mean, anyway, but John Kasich is probably not going to become known for some many years. At least I hope this year he becomes a little better known. He's a good man. F.T. Gomez was a real good friend of mine. He gave me some ball gloves, and I got a couple of them from him, and I pitched against him. I was 17 years old, and the headline in the New York paper was, grizzled veteran pitched against young rookie. Well, he was 27. He was right in his prime. And I pitched against lefty. He came to bat one time in Yankee Stadium early on in my career before the lights were there. And we were going into it was an extra inning ball game, about the 10th or 11th inning with no lights. The shadows were coming down all the way out to the monuments and almost up to the elevated track, getting very dark in the fall. Gomez comes to the bat and he lights a match. Umpire was Bill Summers. He said, Gomez, put that match out. What are you trying to do? Show me up? He said, Summer knows where the plate is. He's been throwing over it for 12 innings now. Gomez says, yes, I know, but you're wrong as usual. He said, I know Feller knows where the plate is, but I want to be damn sure he knows where Gomez is. Great pitcher, Gomez, and very fine friend. Worked for Wilson Sporting Goods forever. And Thomas E. Wilson was a friend of mine at a farm near us in Iowa. He was the man that founded the 4-H Clubs of America, Thomas E. Wilson. And the Wilson Sporting Goods Company makes all the leather goods for Sears Roebuck and has for over 60 years right there in Chicago or in Japan or wherever they make it. Excuse me, I was out in Seattle the other day doing a promotion for the Fred Hutchison Cancer Clinic. Cancer is a research. They employ about 2,000 people. And they did a lot of research. Fred Hutchison was a chain smoker and died of lung cancer at the age of 45. And right now their research mostly is on bone marrow cancer. And they got 60 patients there. You have to qualify. They got them from all over the world. You have to qualify with a certain kind of cancer form they experiment with. And this is what they're doing, trying to find out how they can cure bone marrow cancer. It's a wonderful, wonderful hospital in Seattle. This is where I got this little cold out there, Seattle is, you always got an Oregon mist there, and missed Oregon and hit Seattle. At least that's what I found out. And of course I knew Dizzy Dean. The first time I pitched against the Cardinals was when a fellow played in Hartford was up playing with the Cardinals. I saw him play in the 1934 World Series when Dizzy and Paul Dean were there. I know, Dizzy put himself in to run one time. I'm gonna talk about Leo later, but I'll give you this story. And the Cardinals won it in 7 games. They're playing the Tigers. Kidding. I saw 3 games in St. Louis. My dad, mother, and sister. And Dizzy went in to run. Frankie Frisch was the manager, so Dizzy was over there, and he went in to go to either second base on a ground ball. It was hit to Charlie Gehringer, and he threw it over to Billy Rogel, his shortstop, and he went to throw to first base for a double play, and Dizzy wanted to break it up, which he did. He jumped high in the air, and Rogel threw it and hit him right between the eyes. The ball bounced about 20 or 30 feet in the air. Dizzy was cold as a mackerel. Of course, Rogel got an error, and they hauled Dizzy over to the hospital, and when they came out, Dizzy came to, and he said the x-rays showed nothing. So we were in Cleveland, and I obviously baseball tournament, and I had a kind of tired arm. I couldn't go to Fargo for $75 a month and Cleveland Ball Club. I couldn't, so the same scout that signed me was the general manager. They was Cy Slotnick from Cedar Rapids. He was a scout, and a best scout, one of the best scouts in baseball. He's find people like Herb Score, Lou Boudreau, Mel Harder, Hal Trotsky, who else did he sign? Kenny Kellner, and most of all the Cleveland Ball Club. So he was general manager. He came in there just after I signed me as a coincidence, because our general manager in Cleveland went to Detroit, Billy Evans. And he asked me if I wanted to come to Cleveland to pitch sandlot ball. I was pitching on the sandlot, doing quite well, and I've been working out with the Indians when we were home. So I was getting ready to go to Fargo. My arm was okay after I pitched 5 9-inning games in 8 days. Like in 46, I pitched 36 complete games, which is the most complete games since 1916 from today. And nowadays you pitch 20 complete games, you give the next year off with full pay. So he said to me, I've been doing quite well in the sandlots in Class A in Cleveland. And he asked me if I'd like to pitch 3 innings against the Cardinals, the 4th, 5th, and 6th. I said, I sure would, Mr. Slomdeka. And he talked to Steve O'Neill, the manager, who caught me the first inning. I struck out 1. And he put in a fellow named Becker, Joe Becker. And I struck out 2. And in the next inning, I struck out 3. But the first hitter was Leo DeRocher. And I wound up, in those days I was one of these kind of wind-ups, like the windmill in the Kansas Cyclone. I wound up and kicked my leg up and looked into left field and threw the first pitch of the game of my inning, the 4th inning, and right smack over Leo's head into the screen. And the next pitch was a lot better, but it was belt high, but it was behind me. And then it goes into the screen too. And then O'Neill walks out and he doesn't even know my name. He says, "You and I play catch, feller. And just throw it to me, I'll catch you." So I threw 2 strikes, and they got 2 strikes. Leo headed for the dugout down to the 3rd baseline. Umpire was Cal Hubbard, who was the only man in America in both the Baseball and Football Hall of Fame. Get back here, Lou, you got another strike coming. He said, "To hell with you. You take it, I'm going over and get a drink of water." And instead of going to Fargo the next day to start my career, I took a train to Philadelphia with the Indians and never left till I retired, except for World War II, which was a little something going on more important than playing baseball, in my opinion. When I've been driving to Chicago that day to sign my contract with Cy Slotnick for that on Sunday the 7th of December, 41. I told him I'm going to join the Navy. I called Gene Tunney in the Pentagon, and got him at home, and he's going to come out Tuesday morning to sign me up. He came out Monday night, and I signed up and went over to Norfolk for boot camp, and then to War College in Boardley, Alabama. We went to Europe, and then went on back to the Pacific. Which was a very big experience, and as a matter of fact, for a lot of people, the heroes didn't come home. They're still there on the banks in Normandy and Omaha and the bottom of the Pacific, the bottom of the ocean. And this is a great country. And it wasn't won by draft dodgers. And you know that. I got another better name for them. Traitors. Take it or leave it. But we are a great country, and baseball's part of it. Country of opportunity, and you're not guaranteed any happiness. But you take care of your responsibilities. And you also take care of your obligation, because you got freedom and opportunity. And this is what our people gave us, and which we have to revive, and I hope we do. Because I've seen a lot of so you people. You got any age on you, you've seen this country change so much. Not only the outgrowth in population, but the lack of baseball in the town teams. Baseball is all big sports are all nothing but money. Show business. Oh yeah, there's a lot of fine young men. In the colleges, even a lot of them, they even have departments now to catch themselves cheating. I mean, come on. I mean, have they read the rule book? But also in sports, they do change the rule book occasionally so they can break records, because they like records to be broken. Mark McGwire is no Babe Ruth, and neither is Sammy Sosa, and neither was Roger Maris, and neither is Hank Aaron, because Babe Ruth was the greatest man that came along. When he put the rubber in the ball in 1920 to make him forget the Black Sox scandal, he had 54 home runs. I saw him pitch in Des Moines, pitch one inning. He and Lou Gehrig batted every inning. The Larry Peruzza Buston Bay put on a home run inning action before the game. And so I got to know him quite well. All these movies and all that. Babe was a trouser around a little bit, but he didn't drink near as much as they said he did. Probably had a little trouble finding the hotel on the road at night. But he was something else again. Great natural ability, like Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle. Great ball player. Mantle was a great ball player. He wasn't quite a DiMaggio, but he hit more home runs in the World Series. And those great Yankee teams, they had the most money. They had Rupert. They had the best farm system. They had the best scouts. And they had the best ball clubs. So take it or leave it. I know the Red Sox fans may not believe that, but they did have some great ball clubs. Well, Babe Ruth won the last 2 games in the World Series in 1918. That's the year Ted Williams and I was born. I started playing Legion ball when I was 12, too. I'm the first American Legion graduate from Cooperstown. Ted Williams is number 2, incidentally, playing in San Diego. And we're very proud of that. I give the Bob Feller Trophy away every year to the outstanding American Legion player just before the game on Monday and over there in Cooperstown, where I'll be again this year with my wife Ann. It's a beautiful town. I'm sure glad that they didn't really have the Hall of Fame where baseball really was discovered in Hoboken. There's nothing wrong with Hoboken, but I'm not sure as heck is not Cooperstown. In any stretch of your imagination, even though I hear Hoboken is making a comeback since Frank Sinatra died. I remember when Frank Sinatra, I used to go out and play west ball on the West Coast when I was a kid, and play exhibition games up and down the coast. And from Vancouver down to San Diego and Seattle and Wenatchee and all the towns over in the valley and Fresno and Sacramento. And so I stayed with one of our coaches out there in Santa Monica. His wife worked at Paramount Studios. And his name was Johnny Baster. He's a very good hitter. And he fought in the Coast League. And DiMaggio was hitting, he got 63 consecutive games in the Coast League. Which year I don't remember. It might have been 1934. Joe came up in 36 with the Yankees. Same year I did, but he came up in the spring. So how old I am, what I'm getting at is, in those days, they had a restaurant called Lucy's right by the Paramount Studios. And I was 18 years old, my first exhibition games on the West Coast. And right there at this little restaurant and bar was a guy singing for tips. His name was Frank Sinatra, which goes back a ways. Which had nothing to do with baseball that I know of. Absolutely nothing. Anyone have any questions? I could stand here and tell these stories all night long. Yes. Fellow like Mike Lasorda. He had a great record. He didn't win any lose. He never lost a game for the Dodgers. And he never won any either. He did lose 4 for Kansas City. He never won one either. He was smart. He got out of the business and became a manager in Chicago, which they only won in history. They had a 1-0 lead. And so he comes up to bat and he fouls off 4 or 5 pitches. He hit a lot of foul balls. Maybe he fouled off more. So he went, I am 2 balls and 2 strikes. And he looked like to me like he was getting his timing down pretty good. So I throw 2 pitches purposely outside to Jim Hegan. He never knew I walked him on purpose, but I did. And I got to Taps Wright, who hit a very hard ground ball to the left of our second baseman, Ray Mack, who dove for it, knocked it down, picked it up barehanded, and fired to Hal Trosky at first for the final out with Appling on base, which was the tying run. And but he was a very good hitter, a damn good shortstop with a wonderful arm and very accurate. He'd go back in the left center and take a throw from an outfielder on a ball hit up the alley from 2 bases and throw to home plate on the fly. He had a great arm, and we always called him old aches and pains, but he's always complaining about his problems physically, which he didn't have, but he liked to make you think he did, so he could go out and beat you. Anybody else? Very good friend. We were great friends. Satchel was no do-gooder. He was a fine person. He was very much of a con man. He'd tell stories that were not true. He said, in fact, he never really knew how old he was. I knew how old he was, and so did a lot of the rest of us. When he came to Cleveland in 1948, he was 42. He said he was 44. He said he was born in Mississippi. Was it Mississippi? Or maybe it was Alabama. He said, and his mother always kept the birth dates in the Bible of all her children. Well, one day the goat broke in the house and ate the Bible, so they don't which is another story that Satchel would tell. I was a good friend of Satchel's. We had a lot of fun. We made a lot of money together. We played pitch against each other before World War II and a lot after World War II. And he was my teammate in 1948 when we won the World Series. Who did we beat? Those guys over there in Fenway Park. No, we beat the Boston Braves. They played down the street a ways.
Would you tell us about, were you there when they broke the DiMaggio streak when Hilton was played?
Yes, that was Al Smith and Jim Bagby. Both of them pitched that night. And he had 56 and came in there and he hit 2 hard balls down the left field line. And Kenny Keltner, our third baseman, was always very good at going to his right. He couldn't go to his left very well because he didn't have to. He had Boudreaux over there who could go to his right very well too. So Keltner backhanded 2 bullets, first or second hops, right by the bag. And Kenny always took his time. He had a great arm. He took the ball and kind of loosened it up, and he'd throw a bullet right to first base. And then Jim walked once, and the last time he came up, he hit one to Boudreaux. The ball took a little bit bad hop, and Boudreaux grabbed it with his bare hand and threw him out. And DiMaggio never showed any emotion at all. But the first pitcher, I think it was Al Smith, then it was Jim Bagby, or vice versa. And we lost the ball game. But then I pitched a day later. I think he got a single that day and went 17 more. But Joe didn't show any emotion at all. I saw DiMaggio make the greatest catch I ever saw in Yankee Stadium off of Greenberg. I was doing a radio show with Diane Shore. I'm doing a rehearsal. I pitched the day before in Fenway. Came in there to do the show, and to rehearse, and to the ballpark like a bus driver would go ride a bus. And Greenberg hit one dead center. DiMaggio run out behind by the monuments and just put his hand up. I don't know, he put it up to protect himself from the monument. The damn ball stuck in his glove. He never saw the ball. Much better catch than Mays made in the '54 World Series. Much better. But it wasn't on television. And the game wasn't important, particularly. Anybody else?
What do you do with the umps as far as the strike zone?
The strike zone now, the strike zone used to be a rectangle. From right about your middle of your knee to across your letters under your armpits. Now that was a rectangle, 17 inches and down there. They've turned it over 90 degrees. Now it's that wide and that high. And the strike zone depends on who the umpire is, who's pitching, who's hitting, what time it is, what the score is, what town you're in, and what time your date is. Pete Rose, I know the story very well. He'll never, ever be put back in baseball. They have the betting slips, they got his signature, they got 3 of them, and they got his fingerprints in the commissioner's office in New York. They got him cold. Furthermore, he cheated the government twice. The first time they only fined him $26,000 and said, Pete, if you ever do it again, we'll put you in a penitentiary. These men that were the IRS are friends of my son, Steve, the architect that built my museum in Orlando. He did it again. Came back in with a bunch of money illegally from Japan. Their word was good. Forget Pete Rose. A great hitter, but a little arrogant and stupid for his own good. He's making a lot of money at signing autographs, and he'll never make it. What else do you want? I mean, good God, treat your government, cheap baseball, ballon baseball, come on. I mean, there's a sign in every clubhouse, in every league and every minor league team, everything in organized baseball. If you, that's another thing goes for this Joe Jackson thing. If you bet on any game which you have a duty to perform, you're ostracized, that's not the word for it, banned permanently, not for life, permanently. You can be dead and you're still permanent. It won't work. And the same thing, Ched and I are trying to find out what did Landis say about Shoeless Joe and all these those 8 guys, including the third baseman, whatever his name was. Pretty good ball player, but didn't have the statistics to be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. All he ever said was that those players will never play professional baseball again. He never said they're banned for life, they're banned forever, they're permanent ineligibility. But Landis shot from the hip a lot. And I remember when I was signed illegally. And at that time, all the minor league teams had territorial rights to sign all the free agents, the kids in the high schools, the colleges. And all the major league clubs had to buy their players from the minor league team, like the Des Moines club, where I was in that area. The scouts that signed me came to Des Moines to buy Claude Passola for the Cleveland Indians. He came to see me pitch a tournament game around at 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and he never left. He watched me all the whole game. He forgot about Passo. Passo goes to the Cubs. I go to Cleveland. The Des Moines owner went to Judge Landis after I struck out a few guys, like 17 Athletics when I was 17, 1936. Complained that I was stolen from him. He could have had me sold me for $250,000. So we go to Chicago and talk to Judge Landis, my dad and I, old number 14, the Rock Island, Chicago Rock Island. They stopped it in Van Meter, going downhill to pick us up. We go in there and take the sleeper and come back. We did this 3 times. The last time we were there, Landis knew that I was signed illegally, because everybody was lying to him, including the scouts that signed me, who's now general manager for Cleveland, Cy Slapnecker. He got the hotel register in Superior, Wisconsin. We told him the guy named Jack Knight signed me as the manager of the Fargo Club. Well, Jack Knight was in Superior, Wisconsin, because he signed the hotel register. And Landis knew it. And so when we were in there the last time, and my father told Commissioner Landis, he says, Commissioner, I don't recall what his words were really. If you don't permit my son to play with the Cleveland Indians, I'm going to sue you in civil court. And my word is my bond. Commissioner Smith, yes, Mr. Feller. I would declare I could stay with the Cleveland Indians. They fined the Cleveland Club $7,500 and changed the rules. So after that, all the major league clubs could sign free agents. They released 180-some. Cardinals and the Tigers were the worst at it, and a bunch of them got big money. I know Benny McCoy got set $45,000. Tommy Henrik was one of them, went to the Yankees for a bundle. They changed the rules 6 weeks later at the major league meetings. And that's the reason I wound up in Cleveland. I could have been a free agent and got $250,000 or $500,000 from the Yankees or the Red Sox. They had scouts sitting in the Chamberlain Hotel in Des Moines waiting for me to become a free agent. The hell with it. I like the Cleveland Ball Club, and that's the way it went. I'm damn glad I did that. The same thing, I'm just as proud of signing up 2 days after Pearl Harbor to go fight a war. And we were losing pretty big in the Pacific and the Atlantic. I like this country. Any more? I'll do 2 more. One here. Oh no, right over there.
Yes, sir. Your thoughts on Roger Maris going into the Hall of Fame?
Roger Martin? No.
Roger Maris.
Roger Maris is a good friend of mine. Maybe someday, I'm not against Roger Maris. I know his family. I played in Roger Maris golf tournament last year up in Fargo. I played there before.
It's a policeman on a motorcycle.
That was done in Chicago in 1940 by Lou Fonseca.
Okay. Well, that was kind of a neat little competition or whatever. But you were sort of in the pre-jug days where did they have radar guns that?
They had fully electric cells at the Aberdeen Ordnance Plant in Aberdeen, Maryland, which is much more accurate than a jug gun. And I threw through the full electric cells in 1946 at 1079 in front of a full house in Griffith Stadium in Washington.
107.9?
Right. It was there before a full house. But that thing in Chicago was done by Lou Fonseca, who led the American League in hitting in 1929 with the Cleveland Indians. And a friend of mine.
How was that measured again? Was that by military?
I'll tell you about it. Anyway, just a minute. I'll tell you about it. Anyway, so Lou Fonseca came to Comiskey Park and asked me to do this. So we go out the next morning early, and they had this all blocked out in Lincoln Park, out right east of the Cub ballpark, Wrigley Field, near the lake. And he showed me what we're going to do. I had my shirt and tie. I had my coat on, dressed up with a pair of white shoes. And, you know, those days, people dress like human beings. Now we all dress like bums. I'll be dressing like one tomorrow when I get on an airplane, too, probably. Anyway, it's a little different. I mean, we dress a little different than we used to. I'm not against all that. It's more comfortable. Ted Williams doesn't like a tie either. And he asked me to do it. So I did. So I go out there and I warm up with him. And here I am playing catch with Lou. I had my necktie on, my flying in the air, had my white shirt, shoes, and a pair of light pants. Motorcycle back there, this Harley Davidson, and with this cop on it. And he had a big target there about the size of a cantaloupe for me to throw through. And had another target over here on a big frame, about 4 or 5 feet wide and about 6 or 7 feet high. So he told me to throw through it. I mean, it measured off 60 feet 6 inches. And I'm standing out there on this blacktop with my street shoes on. So he said, "Oh, stand like you're holding a man on base, so you can watch the cop when he starts out, and you can turn around and throw the ball through that target." I said, "Yeah, sounds easy, huh?" So I said, "No, I'm going to take my full wind up and do my pump handle. I get more on the ball, my little pump handle, and my big one, get my weight back on my back foot and throw my body forward. When that cop goes by, I'm going to throw. I can throw harder that way." So we did it. It comes roaring down. I throw a little bit late. He gets by me about 10 feet. And I throw the ball as hard as I can. It goes right through the middle of that black spot, which you've seen, and beats a cop by 3 feet. Only an accident. Only an accident. So Lou Fonseca, I said, "Take me back to the hotel." It was the Del Prado Hotel on 53rd and Hyde Park on the south end of Chicago. But Fonseca led the American League in hitting in 1929. Good friend of mine. Cubs batting coach forever. And he never went to spring training. He held out. Opening day in Cleveland, 1929, I don't know who they played. He had he signed a contract, went down, put the uniform on. I'm damned if they didn't put him in the lineup. Got 2 hits. Next day he said, "I feel pretty good. I'm not even going to take practice today either." So he got a couple more hits. All 1929 season, Lou Fonseca led the American League. He led it in hitting. He never took batting practice once, never went to spring training. And it means that practice means nothing. One more. What do you want over here beside that camera you got in your eye?
What?
Want me to say something? What do you want? Say I catch with your dad a lot. Keep him in shape, and you too.